Welcome to our podcast this afternoon.
Thanks, Chris, for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for agreeing to join us today. We're definitely looking forward to hearing more about your story. So let's just jump right in.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's
Tell us, tell
Go
us
ahead.
about, tell us about Nationwide Equipment Transportation.
Well, we're a freight broker based out of Kansas City. We've actually been in business almost 20 years next year. So we've been through all of the ups and downs of the markets and survived and been through COVID and survived in our industry. That was a big deal. Um, just a small company. You can see I work from my house now. We used to have an office for a long time. And after COVID, realized we could do it from home and all our employees wanted to work from home. So they do a good job and that continues. We'll stay working remotely and we get just as much done, if not more, working from home. So
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned that you made the switch to working remotely during COVID. Any other changes to the business that you had to make that have sustained because of COVID?
yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, we actually started the process of going more instead of database systems with the server, we started looking at providers for IT solutions that would be in the cloud. And so we started that a little bit right before COVID. And so when COVID hit it, we kind of ramped that up a lot faster because we knew, hey, we can save a lot of money on rent and send everybody home. During COVID, we actually worked in the office that whole year.
Hmm.
It wasn't until 2022 that we started really putting in the mechanisms that we needed to be successful to work from home. And in 2023, in January, that's when we went to work from home fully remote. And, unfortunately, we lost some people during that time. They couldn't do the job from home, and it was quick and easy and apparent to know who those people were.
Yeah.
And we've kind of taken a step back and really assessing where we're at now as a business and trying to scale or grow over the next 5 to 10 years. To see if we can be the company that we want to be in the future. So,
Okay, great. And we talked a little bit before we started about scaling, and we'll definitely touch on that. I'm curious, why did you start this business?
well, out of necessity, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I've been in the freight industry for a really long time. Growing up, my mom was a truck driver. She met my stepdad. He was a mechanic. They got married. They opened a trucking company, had 13 trucks at one time,
Wow.
running throughout the Midwest. And I've been into semi ever since, really. And unfortunately, my stepdad passed away when I was 18 of Lou Gehrig's disease. So I wasn't able to jump into the business, really work in the business other than learning how to push a broom in the shop or clean tools as a young man. But I learned a lot from them and that kind of got in my blood a little bit. And so I started working in an air freight company when I was in college, was promoted, was on the fast track to be, a regional manager, maybe a CEO at some point. I was, a young man, 24 years old. And we were moving around, moved to Charlotte, and they were getting ready to move us again. And my wife and the young family were like, do we really want that lifestyle of, moving from city to city every couple years, moving up the corporate ladder? And we kind of looked at ourselves and said, that's really not what we want. And we wanted to move back closer to home to Kansas City. So we moved back, we started the company, and it was really just out of necessity. It wasn't like something that I planned to do, even though I've got an entrepreneur spirit. I ran a lawn care business when I was 12, 14 years old, and always was the top seller of all the school things that you
Mhm.
do,
Right.
So I always had that spirit, but never really thought, like someday, hey, I definitely want to own my business. It just kind of like, I think kids today, especially in their 20s, they think they want instant success or instant this or instant that. And for me and my wife both, from the time we were 18, we just kind of let life happen. And when that opportunity arose and we came back to Kansas City and we were 27, 28 years old and was like, okay, now what are we going to do? We kind of just jumped in all full force, and my wife is very supportive of that, and we haven't looked back since.
Great, great. So does your wife work in the business with you?
Yeah, she's our accounting. She does all of my
Okay.
books, and
Okay.
she started a couple years after I started the company because really, right when I started the company, it was just me. I had to have an office away from home because I didn't think I could work from home. So I rented a little bitty office. It was 12 by 12, and I got up, went to work every day, and then a year in, we were close to $1 million. I hired a sales guy to help me out, and we grew to $2 million. And at that point, it was like, okay, we need someone to help us with the accounting because I can't keep this pace up. So
Yeah.
she agreed to come on board. She's been with us, 18 years and does that very well. And really, honestly, as a business owner, it's hard to trust anybody with your money when you're dealing with that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's amazing that you guys have, and fantastic that you guys have been able to work together as, you know, husband and wife for that long. Some people can't do that.
yeah, a lot of people ask how we do it,
Yeah,
and to be honest with you, we'll be married 25 years this year, so
congratulations.
we're each other's best friends. We love to be together, take walks at lunch, take lunch together,
Yeah,
just enjoy being around each other. And really, we have, like any marriage, had our struggles, and working together definitely creates some challenges. It's hard for her to vent to me because I'm the boss, the
that's
CEO, the
right. That's
president,
right.
whatever. And it's hard for me to vent to her as well. So we have had those kind of challenges, but really, I work on the third floor of the house now. She works in the basement. So we see each other at lunch, and that's pretty much it. So it works out great. But um, I say it's greatest thing ever is to be able to work with your spouse. You know, there's a lot that goes into it, and we're here together as a team to build the company and work together. So
Yeah,
so far so good.
that's great. That's great. Any other family members involved in the company?
I've got two daughters, both graduated and in college now. Neither one of them
Okay.
really at this point has showed any interest. Our younger one has helped us with data entry a little bit or something here or there, but our oldest daughter graduates in May from KU, and she's going to be an athletic trainer at a high school, and she's looking forward to her own career. And our younger daughter's in college and figuring it out. So maybe someday. I think she would be great at what we do, but she hasn't quite decided she wants to work with dad yet. So.
Got it. Got
Mhm.
it. Okay.
Oh, and we do, one of our customer service people is one of a family member. She's um, our nephew's wife. And so we brought her in last year and she's doing great. So
Okay. Fantastic. So you said that 20 years ago, give or take, you started the business out of necessity.
yeah,
And
it's kind of survival of the fittest. You know, you got to make a money, you got to make money to support your family.
that's right.
But at the same time, I started the business because I wanted to help customers facilitate their shipping and make it easier because in our industry, there's a lot of players and there's a lot of issues and a lot of I call it, we coordinate the uncoordinated. So we're helping shippers find carriers and carriers find shippers. And I was just really good at that. And so I chose to start a business to help clients, you know, facilitate their business and be successful in their business at the same time make my business successful. So even though I said it's out of necessity, I did have a passion to help people. I wanted to be a teacher when I was in college and went the business route instead. But after we exit the company and in 5 or 10 years, then maybe I'll get back to being a teacher. But I'm a very curious person. So when I meet someone, I love to learn everything about what they do. And so that's how I handle the business. So when I'm finding new clients, I really just find out what they do, how they do it, and see if I can help them make it better.
Right.
Uh, and so that's kind of what we do as a company. We just help facilitate that. We kind of call ourselves the travel agent for freight,
Okay.
kind of that middleman that helps coordinate the uncoordinated. So
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned this briefly. Um, there appear to be a lot of competitors, especially in this Kansas City market in your space. Yeah.
yeah, very much so. And that's one of the challenges that we have as a business is finding talent here in Kansas City. And so when we went remote, we got lucky enough to have a TikTok go viral in January of this year, and that opened us up to a whole nother market of talent across the country. And so a lot of people are wanting to come work for us. And so we've hired 10 people since the beginning of the year, but they're all over the country. And because of all the competitors here in Kansas City, it is nice to be able to step outside of this area and find talent because there's some big competitors here in town that eat up a lot of talent and then also burn them out, and they
Yeah.
don't want to ever get back into the industry again. So it's been nice to have that exposure and to continue to grow the business outside of Kansas City. So
Right. Right. Okay. So I have to ask, how does a freight broker get a TikTok to go viral?
I don't know, to be honest with you. No, seriously, I've been posting on there for well before COVID. I
Okay.
started maybe 2018. I can't remember exactly when my first post was, but I hired a social media lady from KU. She was an intern, and we started doing social media with Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and YouTube, and we did all those things and got some growth, Facebook and those things, and not really a whole lot of growth. And I started doing TikTok just for fun. I figured I was 40 some year old man, and I would get on TikTok and I enjoyed it. So, like Gary Vee says, you go where the attention's at, and
Yeah.
a ton of people on TikTok. So I just started posting videos about what we do, how we do it, funny stories that I'd heard, this and that. Really, for 4 years, I only had, 400 or 500 people. In January, I had 2,600 people following me, and then now I have 30,000
Holy
less
cow.
than 4 months from that one video. And that one video was just me taking phone calls, covering loads for customers, showing people how we do it. And there's a lot of foreign people that have infiltrated our industry. There's a lot of fraud in our industry, and that call represented a lot of that.
Okay.
And people were just interested in it. People that didn't know anything, what we knew, what we did, or anything like that, just were interested to learn more. And so I kept posting those videos, and they just kept blowing up. And yeah, we just got lucky, I guess. I bet, everybody says it's luck, but really, hard work, what do they say? Hard work meets preparation, makes hard work equals luck or whatever. I don't know what the saying
Right.
is, but
Right. Yeah.
um,
Yeah. It's kind of
so
like that, 20-year overnight success, right? You've been,
that's where we're at right now, Chris, to be honest with you. I want to be the next overnight success that took 20 years to get there, because you
yeah.
look at like some of the big guys, like even Nike and maybe Disney and some of those guys, they didn't start out as overnight successes. It took them a long time that people don't realize that takes 10 to 20 years to get to be able to scale your business in a way that is both healthy for you and also healthy for your business and your clients. So
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think from your perspective in the industry that you're in, what's the biggest obstacle to scale for you guys?
I think technology and just being able to compete with the big dogs. I mean, the biggest company in our industry is $12 billion. So how do you compete with the amount of money that they can throw at talent? And also they can do stuff for a cheaper rate than we can as
Okay.
far as markup percentage. They can get carriers to do loads for less than we can. So that's the biggest challenge. And really just exposure, right? So TikTok allowed us to have that exposure to some degree, but still continuing to find ways to be creative and set yourself apart from the competition. Because like you mentioned earlier, when I first started, maybe 20 years ago, there was maybe 7,000 brokers
Hmm.
in the country, and now there's 17,000. And I just went to a conference here in Kansas City earlier this week, and they actually reported a 10% decline in those numbers over the last year. So people are leaving the industry just as fast as they're coming in, and they're leaving at a faster pace now because it is so hard. And AI is coming. It's the Uber effect
Hmm.
in our industry. So we have built our platform out to be in that conversation. When the AI really does take over, we will still be able to sustain and scale our business
Yeah.
versus there's probably of those 17,000 people, 16,500 of them don't have technology that will allow them to continue. So,
Got it. Got it. No, that's fascinating. That's fascinating. AI seems to be involved in all industries in some form or fashion at the moment. So I'm glad you guys are considering that.
yeah.
So, Steve, what would you say that your, and maybe this isn't your businesses, but yours personally, what is your unfair advantage? What is your business superpower?
Mine is just speed, organization, and getting answers back to clients in 5 or 10 minutes on email. That's my superpower, being organized, being able to multitask, take a phone call, type an email at the same time, do this podcast, and still take care of clients. So I guess that's my superpower, but also the thing that I'm always trying to do is look ahead to strategize what's the next move. And so I've been able to stay ahead of that curve a little bit um, during the 2008 downturn, during COVID, and now going into the AI. I'm planning and preparing the company to be able to sustain those downturns. And just like me going and working from home, that was a strategic move to save $5,000 a month on rent,
Hmm.
because I knew that the last year the market took a 40% year over year hit, and that wasn't just us, that was everybody.
Yeah.
And so I saw that coming and I planned for it, and we started working from home. And so luckily we had that extra $5,000 every month to sustain that. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are just some of the few things I would point out that make us different than our competitors is that our speed. I mean, we can quote someone in under 5 minutes, which a lot of people can't do.
Oh, wow.
We can book a load in 5 minutes. We can find a truck in 5 minutes. So just our speed is by far better than a lot of our competitors.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like it. Um, so how do you do that? How do you, what gives you the ability to see around corners and think ahead so that you're in the right place when the time comes?
I don't know what the answer is to that question. That's a good question. I mean, I don't know if it's just my God-given talent or just my ability to, my brain's always on, it's always wired. And so I'm always thinking of different scenarios. Like I said, I'm a very curious person. So right now I'm reading 4 different books at the same time and trying to find out what the next answer is, right? I mean, what my next move is and planning for the future that nobody really knows what to expect after the election. Are they going to ban TikTok? Like all these things, like you have to think about as a business owner that, a lot of people want to jump in and do this, or, Gary Vaynerchuk's been promoting being an entrepreneur for 5 or 10 years, and all these young kids jumped in saying, I want to be a business owner. It's the greatest thing in the world. And they really don't know how to think like a business owner. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's pretty much it. It's just, I guess, just the brain of like a business owner and constantly be thinking about innovation, because if you take a day off, your competitors aren't going to.
Yeah. It's true. So what books are you reading currently? What are the 4 books?
I've got Scaling Up. I've just read the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, which a lot of people gave me a hard time about. I have another Scaling Up book I'm reading, and then I also have it's a leadership book, actually. It's an old school leadership book that I'm reading. Very small print and hard to read, but it's not actually up here, so I can't get you the name of it, but I'll
Yeah.
look on it.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Just curious. I always love and I'm looking for book recommendations. Any other books that you've read that you would highly recommend?
I mean, the Nike book was one that was very good that I
Shoe
loved.
Dog? That
The
Shoe Dog?
pumpkin, you can see on back on my shelf back there's the Nike book, but back there also is the Pumpkin Plan.
Yeah.
It's a book I read a long time ago about getting rid of customers that take too much time and getting to build your bigger customers bigger, but to get rid of the ones that are sucking all the time and not providing any value. Um, yeah, that was a really good book. And trying to think what else is back there. Oh, Crushing It by Gary Vee. I mean, any
Yeah.
of Gary Vee's books, I read all of them. But No Try, Only Quit. So there's a lot of them. I read a lot of books. I mean, but the one I'm reading right now that's from it's called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership
Yeah.
is really, really excellent book. I've only gotten through like the first 3 laws, but it's been really good. I wish I would have read it 20 years ago.
Yeah. That's a good one. I wonder. I've got that one on my bookshelf somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's just a great book. I wish I would have, found it earlier. We just in the conference, they just gave us this book, Closing the Trust Gap.
Okay.
Because in our industry, there's a big trust issue between carriers and brokers,
Yeah.
and they're constantly battling or fighting. And so my biggest thing over the next year is to try to bridge that gap myself with through social media and my platform, but also between my carriers and my customers, just trying to get them closer to the same page when it comes to we all have to work together. So I'm interested in reading that book and learning more about that process. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. So 2 decades in business. You've obviously been through a global pandemic. You've been through market ups and downs. What are some of the mistakes or missteps that you could share with us that you've made along the way? Just kind of from a sharing experiences perspective.
Yeah, I've made plenty, let me tell you. The one thing I've always been able to do is make sure we had enough cash in the bank. That was very important to me, is make sure we could always pay our bills on time and early if possible. And our employees never had to worry about, a paycheck.
Mhm.
So, but the thing is, I've realized is that that isn't good enough in the minds of your employees a lot of times. So, the Great Resignation was hard on me. I had a lot of people leave, people that have been with me for 10, 15 years during that period of time. And it wasn't that I wasn't paying a competitive salary. I could have paid more. And I think some of their entitlement obviously caused that, but I think also some of the ways that I handled things as a business owner, expecting people to be as invested as you are. and you're never going to get anybody that does exactly everything that you do or that you would do, because you're the owner, and um, will do more than the next person that you hire. And so that expectation that I had was probably detrimental to me and my business over the last 5 to 10 years, because I had lost a very good, talented person that was like my right hand. She was my work wife, and
Hmm.
it devastated me. It really did, because I didn't see it coming. And then I lost my guy that I had for 15 years, one of my sales guys, and that devastated me. So the the personal relationships that I built were harder over the last couple of years to deal with than anything I've had to deal with in my business since. So
Yeah.
uh, sorry, I'm getting a little choked up, because
Oh,
that's a big part of the struggle, as a business owner, is just losing friends
yeah.
along the way. So
Yeah. So what did you learn about yourself like during that process, which is a tough one to lose friends out of the workplace and trusted confidants and
you know what? I don't know that I have learned anything yet, other than to be a little bit more understanding of where people are coming from, but also just trying to make sure that I value them more financially, I guess, because that's what the Great Resignation 2022 was all about, was people making more money. And I don't know. I don't know if I've learned anything that I've done differently, because we have such a small workforce now. But going forward, some of the things I've been reading is, hire fast, fire fast, not keeping people around that aren't going to work out in the long run. Those two people that left obviously were hard, because, I felt like we treated them like family, and took
Mhm.
them on cruises and paid for vacations, and, really did a lot to make them feel like they were a part of the team and the company and all that. But so yeah, I'm not sure that I've really I honestly don't think I've learned what I should have learned at this point. So I've still got a long way to grow, and learn how to be a better boss, a better manager of people. And I'm maybe not very good at that. I'm very good at sales, I'm very good at operations, but I'm starting to learn maybe I'm not the best person, because I started my company at such a young age. I never really managed people before. And so now I'm learning that that's not my strong suit. Maybe I'm going to hire someone to do that for me.
Okay. That's
So
well, I mean, that's a huge growth step in and of itself right there, Steve, right? I mean,
yeah,
in that recognition of that's not my strength, right? It's not my superpower.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do everything anymore. I'm starting to realize that, and part of the scaling up process is realizing what you can't handle and delegating that. And so I'm really good at a few things, and that's one thing that I know I struggle with. Some people tell me I'm a really good boss and that I'm great, blah blah blah. I don't know if they're lying to my face or what, but then I've heard stories as exit interviews where I could have done things better. So
Yeah.
um, just trying to learn that process, and really becoming a better boss, a better human being, is always a continual thing anyway. But
Yeah. Yeah. So on that note, with all the reading that you do, 2 decades in business, you just had a kind of an introspective moment where you said, "I'm not sure if I've actually learned it yet," which is interesting, and I appreciate your candidness there. If you started the business again, or you went back 20 years and you said, "Okay, now I'm going to start this business," would you do anything differently?
um, I mean, if I was 47 years old with no kids in the house, I would have done a lot of things differently. So I kept the company at a certain size, or at least I use that as an excuse, right? I, I I've been looking at myself thinking, I've been saying this for years. I did this because I wanted to be a family man, be home, coach my kids. I kept it at a certain size, yada yada yada. But now I'm looking back at it and thinking that was just an excuse.
Hmm.
I could have done what I really wanted to do, which was to scale the company to, 50 million, $100 million, like some of my competitors have been able to do in a very short amount of time. Had I been able to delegate and know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, get people to work with me, and understand maybe I'm not the easiest person to work with. But yeah, I would do it all over again, the exact same way that I did it. I just might work on my interpersonal skills a little bit more early on, because being a young man starting a company, having expectations of everybody that I hired to do what I would do and how hard I would do it, was probably not the best approach, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. And going through that journey, have you had mentors or coaches, or you mentioned a program that you're in now, mentor
Yeah,
program that you're in now, and you also mentioned that you've coached your kids before, so you've been a coach, right? But
yeah.
did you ever have anybody that was like, hey, Steve, maybe you shouldn't be such an a-hole or something, like whatever?
No, no, I mean, no, I haven't actually had, other than my wife, telling me certain things, but um, I don't think they would say that I was an a-hole, but I mean,
Sorry,
I'm
my word.
definitely difficult to work with. I mean,
Yeah.
because of the challenges and the pressure that I put on people. But did I have a mentor? No. I wish I would have. My grandma was a businesswoman. She retired at 53. Unfortunately, by the time I started my company, she was kind of on the downhill of Alzheimer's and stuff like that. So I didn't really have that mentor because, like I said, my stepdad passed away when I was 18. My mom kind of went and did her own thing, and she wasn't really a true business person, even though they knew how to make money.
Right.
But yeah, no, I didn't really. I wish I would have been able to lean on people, but again, that was my had I did it over again, maybe I would have waited a little bit longer, stayed in that company longer, went up the chain a little bit more
Mhm.
to learn more about that. Um, but I never look back. I mean, I just
Yeah.
look forward and try to tackle the day and have the best day I can. I have a very positive attitude, outlook on life, and I try to tell people, if you look backwards, you're just setting yourself up for failure. So just look forward, try to do the best you can, change things that you can change. And, I've been told I'm a know-it-all and um, an annoying person when I was in school all the time. I was bullied as a kid, and it didn't bother me because I just shrugged it off and said, you know what, the people that like me and the people that want to do business with me, the people that want to work with me will work with me. But the people that won't. And that's a good way to be maybe in your personal life, but maybe not the best business owner mentality.
Yeah. 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 And I like the analogy that the rear view mirror is pretty small and the windshield's pretty big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
absolutely.
very true. You
Absolutely.
never want to look back. I mean, I always people that are driving on that road, my kids and my wife are looking back at people getting close to them. And I'm like, I don't understand people that do that. I never look in my rearview mirror unless I'm backing up.
Right.
Like if someone hits me from behind, oh, I can't prevent that really
Yeah.
usually. So I'm just gonna keep looking forward because I don't want to hit someone that's in front of me because I'm looking at the rearview mirror, right?
Right.
But yeah, so I'm learning a lot. I mean, as a 40, almost 47-year-old business owner for 20 years, I don't know everything. And I know that I've always known that, but trying to find people that can help me push the needle forward and have they're better at this than I am.
Yeah.
Those are the people that I'm looking for now between now and the end of the year to bring on board that can help me take it to the next level. So I'm super excited about the future of our business and where the country's going in 5 or 10 years because I don't think any of us know. Uh,
Right.
but hopefully it's in the right direction.
Yeah. Hopefully so. And as you look to bring these new employees on, they're going to help you scale. And you kind of live through the great resignation. So and you've learned a little bit about um, past employees. What are you finding in the market right now? Like what are people looking for? What's the thing now?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people want to work from home, and I don't know if that's just because of where we are as a society. Um, I can tell you that it's great working from home. My wife and I just went on a walk at lunch and we were talking about, when we sell the house here in a couple years and we go live maybe more of a apartment lifestyle. Do we need two cars? Can we get away with one? Can we get away with no cars? Kansas City's
Right.
kind of spread out, can we just do Uber and stuff? So like, it's interesting to kind of look and see what the future holds in that. And again, I don't know the answers. And I'm sorry, I got off topic. I don't even remember what the question was now because I started thinking about going on a walk and looking outside. And um, so what was the question again? Sorry.
The general question was, as you're out in the market looking for new
Oh,
employees,
that's
you're
right.
contemplating
Okay.
bringing new people in. What are they looking for? And you said probably the flexibility to work from home.
Yeah, they are. I mean, there's so many people, especially in our industry, that have said you have to work in an office. We want this culture. We want to have this pool table and this shuffleboard and have this ping pong table and Friday afternoons and blah blah blah. And I just don't think people are interested in that. They don't really want to hang out with their coworkers after work. They don't want to go to the office every single day. And I'm seeing more of the 30, 40, 50-year-old people wanting to come work for me because they don't need that. You know, they have their family, they have their friends. If you're trying to bring in kids straight out of college, detrimental to the kids out of college, because I think a lot of companies aren't hiring those people right now and they're struggling to find jobs. But and also those guys really need an office. I mean, when I was younger, I needed to be in an office because you need to create friendships and relationships and build that up. But as you grow older and you've got a family and stuff, working from home and having that flexibility has a lot of advantages. So
Yeah.
I think that is a positive for us to be able to sell to people that want to come work for us, is that, hey, it doesn't matter where you live, you can come work for us here in Kansas City and do it remotely, because like what we're doing right now, we're on a Zoom call. It's super easy to act like you're in the same office
Right.
with
Yeah.
technology. So
Yeah. Totally. I think that's fair. Okay, so I've got one more question for you, and it's really around any advice or words of wisdom that you might have to entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs that are either contemplating starting their own business, or maybe they're early on in their journey. They're in some white water, right? Like we all go through it. We've all been through it. You've been through it, right? What advice or words of wisdom might you give to someone in that situation?
Um, I get that asked all the time through my social media. People are asking me, I want to do what you do, or I'm just starting my trucking business, which is completely different than what we do necessarily, but kind of the same. So they're always asking me that same exact question. And at the end of the day, what I tell people, whether you're just out of high school or thinking about a different career, is do your research.
Hmm.
Understand the market completely before you enter. When I started this company, I put together a business plan that was 30 pages deep. I did a deep dive into how much money is there really out there? Could I really make money doing this? And how am I going to do it? It wasn't can I make money, it's how I'm going to do it. And you have to put a plan together and work the plan. So, every day you have to know this is how many calls I need to make today to be successful long term. I need to be consistent. But the research, it's like don't go open a ice cream shop right next to another ice cream shop and expect to be successful. And
Right.
don't expect to open a business and just open the doors and expect customers to come to you. Being a business owner is a sales job.
Hmm.
If you can't sell your company, which is what I think you were trying to do earlier in this conversation, but if you can't sell your company, you can't sell and you won't be in business long. So
Okay.
go get some sales training, get some business training, understand the process of growing a company and the different, one thing that I didn't know is the different levels of stages of a company and how you get past each stage, right? So I'm just going with the flow and growing a company and doing very well, making money and making all these plans, but not really understanding the stage that I'm right now is, around the $5 million mark. Um, there's a stage there where you have to then to be able to get to 10 is very difficult. Not very many companies actually even make it to 1 million
Yeah.
in sales. Very few make it to 5 million, and very few, very, very few make it over 10. Um, and so just like I said, do your research. Understand work-life balance is important. You can't just jump all in and that's all you're about. I mean, for me, my family was most important, so I did make that a priority. But just do your research, because I think a lot of people over the last 5 or 10 years were listening to social media experts like Gary Vaynerchuk, and what he was saying was great, but I think a lot of people had this blind misconception of like, oh, I'm just going to start this business and make $1 million,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
think people see people on social media and reality TV shows or whatever, and they're like, oh my God, these people are millionaires, and all they do is post videos or whatever. It's like, yeah, but you don't see all the other stuff that goes underneath of it that caused them to be successful, and how many years they've been posting videos like me for 4 years before I went viral, and it wasn't even super viral, but enough to make a difference in my business. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. So speaking of going viral, how can our audience find you? Either they want to ship some freight, they want to watch funny TikTok videos, they'd love to just follow you and your journey. How
yeah,
can
that'd be great. I mean, obviously, any of our social media, it's all the same at NTWD Equip Trans with an S, and that's it. So you can find me on any platform with that. Steve Vest on LinkedIn, and our website is nationwidetrans with an S on the end.com.
okay.
So any of those platforms, you can easily get a hold of me. And if you're a business owner and you don't have your phone number or your email address on your website or in your signature of your Outlook, please do that, because like at the end of the day, if customers can't reach you and they can't find you, you're going to have a tough time getting customers. I just can't believe how many people have a website out there that doesn't have just an email address and a phone number.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing you said all day. I appreciate it. That's great. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Steve, thank you for
Thank you,
spending
Chris.
time with us today. It was a pleasure to learn more about your journey. And we'll be watching you scale from the sideline.
Yeah, well, I look forward to talking to you further down the road, and yeah, I look forward to meeting you maybe out and about someday.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you,
All right,
Steve.
have a good afternoon.